Welcome to another dev update for ShiftOS 0.0.5. So this is now the full release of ShiftOS 0.5. Now this is, just note, 0.0.5.0, although the O isn't there. Just because this is the first 0.0.5 release, there may be bugs, and if there are, you can report them in the comments or on the forums or wherever you like. Now, just one bug I want to point out that unfortunately I cannot fix. Okay, I've tried and I can't. This Windows taskbar, you can fix it simply. You can avoid the bug by simply clicking Properties on your Windows taskbar, then click Auto Hide Taskbar and click Apply. And as soon as you do that, problem fixed. Okay, that's all you need to do to avoid a serious bug. Now, this is the version you're going to have. This is the version I'm going to use just because this is a special private release, just so I can show you some of the further stuff without having to get the code points myself in this video. So let's go. Now, ShiftOS 0.0.5 starts pretty much the same as all the previous versions. And if you type help, it looks pretty much the same, although you may notice something. Help here, although you might notice the word save here. It says save. Saves all data. Note that data automatically is saved when you shut down ShiftOS. Now the good thing about this is, let's say you're using ShiftOS and boom, it crashes. It won't save your data. Your data will only be saved if you type in shutdown. Okay? So if you really want to be safe, I recommend every time maybe you buy an upgrade or something like that, just type in the word save, and that's it. Saved that fast. It takes a millisecond to save your game. So just do it, trust me. So right now I've got 0 code points. I'm going to type in a little code here. Now this code will not work on your version. This is the private version only, so you can't actually get this code. And basically I made this version for people who are going to make ShiftOS trailers and stuff, just so they could get some code points, and as you can see I've now got 500 code points. Now all the normal apps are still here, knowledge, input and all of that, but something very big has changed. Now I'm going to show you. If I go to the Open Shiftorium, now grey is a very important update. You always have to buy grey, because you'll notice that it's got a new program here called the Shifter. Now ShiftOS elements are always grey and dull and they just look awful, but the Shifter will allow you to shift ShiftOS the way you want it to shift. So I'm going to buy the Shifter now, and I can simply type in Open Shifter, and this is the Shifter. So the issue with the Shifter right now, and yes, you can earn code points using the Shifter. That is why I highly recommend you buy the Shifter as soon as you can. All you need is grey, and then you can buy Shifter. Now the Shifter, it looks really bad right now because it's got nothing in it, but basically click desktop, and this is all your settings for your desktop. And then you click Windows, and these are all your settings for your Windows. The issue is, you notice that these windows are completely white, and you haven't bought any upgrades, so it's like a question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, and it doesn't understand these settings. It just knows that you've got a desktop. And even if you do try and modify this, this setting cannot be altered due to no system configuration files matching this option. The system files required are either corrupt or do not exist. Now the reason they don't exist is because you actually have to update ShiftOS or upgrade it so it actually has these settings, these extra modules such as desktop settings and things like that. So now if I go back to the terminal, now it is a little bit buggy with Visual Basic and these buttons. I'm really sorry about this, but if you click on a button, ShiftOS you can't open the terminal, okay? It's really annoying. So if you ever have any issues, just click on the background, then press Ctrl-T. Because for, the whole button thing, the buttons take control, and if you press Ctrl-T, it doesn't work. Only works if you click on the background, so that's pretty annoying. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in Open Shiftorium, and we're just going to get a few of the usual updates we're used to. The clock, the Windows Anywhere, the movable windows, the multitasking, and auto scroll terminal, and custom username, and window borders, and window terminal. and title bar. See, these are all the things you know from last time. Draggable, wait, put this, what am I going to do? I'm just going to quickly type in 05 tray, 05 tray, 05 tray. Okay. Now, let's just quickly get a few more of these updates. You've seen all these draggable windows, so the windows can be dragged. I've got title text, which displays what program is running. I've got terminal scroll bar. In fact, let's go to the terminal now and make it a windowed terminal. Oops, windowed terminal. You've got to type it exactly right. Okay, there we go. The terminal is now windowed. I'm also going to want some close buttons. I'm going to want... okay, now this is a feature I'm going to show you. Shift Desktop. Now, this Shift Desktop will allow you to actually change the desktop background, so it's a module for the shifter. So if I buy this now, you'll notice that if I now open the shifter... Oh, whoops, I forgot, I've got the terminal here. Open shifter. Now, here we go. I'm going to go to desktop, and as you can see, because I've bought a lot of these window settings, you can now see these settings here. Title bar, title text, buttons, borders, but still, these cannot be modified, unfortunately, just because you haven't actually bought upgrades that allow you to have these modules to upgrade. So you don't have the title bar module, you don't have the title text module, or the buttons module, or any of that. You've got to actually upgrade those. So let's go to desktop. And because I've just bought this Shift Desktop, boom, I can now change the desktop background color. Now this is the new ShiftOS 0.0.5 color picker. It shows you the old color of the desktop and then the new color you're about to set. So desktop background color, now you could change this to black, grey or white. Because if you remember, those are the three colors that you have. You start off with black and white, but because we bought the shifter, we got grey. Now this color system is the big critical thing in ShiftOS. The shifter and the color picker is what's going on with ShiftOS 0.5. This is where a lot of the time was put into this development of this version of release. So I'm going to now show you what you can do here. Let's say we want the background to be white. Just click white and apply. I don't know. Does that look good? I don't really think it looks good. I think we need a few more colors, but let's just add a few more things here. Let's add this shift title text, shift title buttons, title bar, title borders. Oh, and for a bit of fun, let's open up the clock. There we go, I've got the clock up, and that should be good. Sorry about this funny screen resolution. This is just 1680 by 1050. It's my actual desktop resolution, and it just makes it a lot easier making videos in this resolution because I can fit a lot more on the screen than I can if I'm using 720p. So, okay, we've got grey shades here now. This is a very important upgrade. Watch this. Seeing grey on your computer screen may be a nice break from black and white, but why have just one shade of grey when you can have three? More shades of grey increase the uniqueness of ShiftOS by expanding your range of colour options in the shifter. Now, this gives you dim grey and light grey, and you already have grey. So, let's say you want to change the desktop background colour. Now, you can now see grey is at level 2, and you've got a lot more colours. You've got black, dim grey, grey, light grey, and white. And you can also see these RGB values here. You can see 211, 255, 128, 105, and 00. 0 is black. If RGB, which stands for red, green, blue, if everything is 0, there's no colour, that means it's black. But if you keep adding more colour, it'll be a lighter and lighter shade of grey until you eventually get to 255, which is completely white. Okay, so I'm just going to set the background as light grey. I don't know. Yeah, it still looks a bit odd, but let's just keep it like that for now. And what we're going to do, I'm just going to buy these last little desktop things. Right, desktop panel. And desktop panel clock. I'd like an app launcher menu. And this, wait a sec, app launcher menu. App Launcher Shutdown. There we go. Now it appeared. So it didn't appear until I bought App Launcher Shutdown, which was a bit of a shock to me, but okay. Knowledge Input, AI, Shiftorium. Okay, there we go. That's everything added. Now what I'm going to show you now is the whole customization system when it comes to windows and things. So you can click on title bar, and let's say you want this title bar to change color. So let's say I want the title bar to be black. Let's say black. Black, and because of that I want the close button here to be, what's a good color? What about a white button? And as you can see, all the windows have now changed and earned 3 code points. Just for changing those 3 settings, I earned 3 code points. Now that's pretty cool and quick for just something, it took a few seconds to do that. The only thing I don't like is black because it makes the terminal look a bit odd. But don't worry, let's get a few more colours. Here you can see the full grey shade set. 3 shades of grey may be better than 1 shade, but why not get the full grey set with 8 shades? Further upgrades will allow us to create our own custom colour of grey. So look at all of that. You've got black, dim grey, grey, silver, light grey, Gainsborough, white, smoke, and white. Boom. And if you look at the colour picker now, look at that grey, level 3. That is a lot of shades of grey. So, fantastic. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to, I know I always do this, but let's change that to 50 and that to 0. So that makes it, the close button, 50 pixels wide and 0 pixels from the top, meaning it's touching the top of the screen. Just to give it that semi-Windows 8 look. Now, I'll show you another thing here that's new to this version of ShiftOS. We have got the roll up command. Now, running out of space on your desktop. Wish you could keep a window running in the background without completely closing it. Well, you're in luck. The roll-up command will allow you to roll windows up to their title bar when you want to save space. So let me show you what this does. If I type something like, I don't know, roll clock. Look at the clock. It's just been rolled up to its title bar. It's almost a way... It's almost like minimizing a window, and it could simulate minimizing if you put it up there. In fact, you know what? What we're going to do, we're going to simulate minimizing now. Minimizing isn't in this version of ShiftOS. It will be in a future version where you can click like a minimize button and boom, it goes into the taskbar. And there will also be a feature like a dock, like an Apple Mac dock. Sorry, I'm a bit of a copycat there getting their dock, but I'm going to put a dock in here so you can have a ShiftOS dock that you can add and remove items to. And to add and remove items, it'll initially have a text-based kind of command to add and remove things from the dock, like dock clock add to add the clock to the dock, and then other stuff to remove the clock, and then it'll eventually be like a drag and drop feature where you can drag and drop things from, say here, you can go, okay, knowledge input, drag and drop. Talking about this applications bar is very boring. Look at that. There's no, colours. So what I want is I want to go to the desktop app launch. Okay, wait a sec. Shift app launcher. I'm going to go here and I'm going to make it so that if you mouse over these items, they're going to go light grey. Apply. Now watch this. See that? That's pretty cool. And have I just discovered a bug here? You are kidding me. You are absolutely kidding me. Okay, I have a feeling this is a bug here, because look, this clock has absolutely no borders. So unfortunately, I've just missed out on adding borders to the clock. Either that or the clock borders are just white for some reason. I don't know why that is, but let's just move on. I'm sorry about that. Wait. If I open clock. There we go, problem fixed. Yeah, it was just a way that I was updating the desktop. When you buy upgrades, if you have any issues, close the program, then open it again, and that'll do stuff like add the borders back and stuff like that. So, if you're having any problems, open and close the program. If you're still having problems, I highly recommend you just type save and then shut down. In fact, let's just quickly save it now in case it crashes. And I also want to change these borders because it looks silly that the borders are grey, so let's make the borders black. Apply. So now all the borders are black, and that just looks at, it suits the title bar a lot better. Now, this roll-up command is a bit silly. You don't want to just type in, like, let's say, okay, I want to quickly roll everything up. Roll clock, roll shifter, roll terminal. Actually, roll That's right, you actually can't roll up the terminal, because if you roll up the terminal, then the terminal is stuck up. That's why I coded it. So if you type roll up terminal or roll terminal, it actually won't work. If you want to get a window back down, what you do is you type roll clock, and that'll bring it back down. Now, the reason roll terminal is not going to work is because imagine you type roll terminal. Terminal rolls up. Then you've got no terminal to type stuff in, and even if you open and close the terminal with Control T, the terminal will still be rolled up. So that would be an absolute entrapment point of time where you just can't save, you can't do anything, and it's a game breaker. So that's why you can't roll up the terminal. Now I'm going to show you the roll up button. So this roll up button replaces the command, although you can still use the command. So let's say I buy this roll up button, and then I type in roll clock. There we go, clock's rolled, and then I can open and close it. Now, you're obviously going to want to shift the roll up button. Come on, so let's make it suit everything a bit better. So I'll put that at 50, just like the other one. I'm going to make it, what should we do? Roll up. What about a silver? We'll make it silver. And then I'm going to put it at about 60, and actually about 55. And I'll put it up to 0 to the top. There we go. So now all the windows have a roll up and roll down button. So isn't that great? You can roll everything up, including the terminal. Now you can roll the terminal up because you've got a roll up button. So it's because before you had a command, so it's a bit hard when there's a command. And this means you can have all your programs open and then just, minimize them when you're not using them. So let's say you were doing some stuff with knowledge input. Say you're guessing some countries like this: Japan, Asia, Africa. What? I thought Africa was a country. Whatever. Wait, Russia, come on. Yeah. Okay. So, let's say you're doing this and then you're like, I don't know, I've got to minimize that because I don't have enough room on my desktop, and then I want to open this and I might change. It's a quick way to flick between programs. So let's just open everything up again. There we go. And let's actually get some custom grey shades here. So just before I continue, I like to buy these just so knowledge input looks a bit more exciting with some more things there. In the next version of ShiftOS, ShiftOS 0.0.6, I definitely want to add some more categories to ShiftOS, to their knowledge input, because, 5, yeah, but you want more than just 5, right? So let's go, custom grey shades. Now look at that, black to white in a complete grey shade of awesomeness. Now, forget about having 8 shades of grey, because this upgrade will allow you to crack the colour value code, giving you the ability to create your own custom shades of grey. Further research may allow us to create other basic colours. Now watch this. Buy. Now this is pretty cool. Look at this. Let's say you want to change, what do we say? Say the title bar colour, because I don't know, I don't like that title bar looking grey. Desktop panel. There we go. So, I want to change the desktop panel, and actually when you think about it, it's still pretty much grey. Roll up works for color picker as well. Okay, so let's show you how this works. Basically, grey is now level 4, and as you can see, these are all white. And you're thinking, wait, how do you get custom colours? What you need to do is you type in a colour here, say 50. Now, as soon as I typed in 50, it put the shade of grey there, 50. You can't put above 255. If you try and do, say, 500, it'll put you back to 255. So it's coded in a smart way that won't let you do over 255. So this shade is 50, okay? This is RGB 50, 50, 50. So if you want to use this, most people, I'm guessing, would think, oh, I want to use this colour, so I'm going to click it, right, with the left click. Doing that is not how you use the colour, and it actually gives you a warning here, which I specifically wanted a warning to appear here, just because, what are people going to do? They don't know what to do. So, it tells you what to do. This is a new ShiftOS 0.0.5 info box, so it's kind of like the Windows message box that appears saying, oh, do you want to do this, yes or no, or warning, Windows is about to have a blue screen of death, that kind of thing. So, You must input a value between 0 black and 255 white to form a shade of grey. Right-click a box on the left to then use this colour. So, you then right-click on the left, and boom, straight away you see that shade of grey has been put there. Now this shade of grey is going to be there forever. I can quit, I can get back into it, and that shade of grey is still there. If you shut ShiftOS down and boot back into ShiftOS, that shade of grey will still be there. So I'm going to make a little, a little range of colours here. I'm going to put 30, 60. So remember what I'm doing here is I'm right-clicking. So you right-click and that sets that as the colour that you want it to be. 90, 120, 150, 180, 210, and 240. And there we go. I've got my... You can't even see that really, but it is slightly different to white and white smoke. So basically all these custom colours here are my custom shades of grey, and I can use any of them simply by clicking on them, and as you can see they appear there. And let's set, say, this bar at the top to that custom shade of grey. So this is 60. So I'll set that as the top there, and apply. There we go, that top bar is now that shade of grey. Although this one has actually stayed this colour, this grey colour, because you actually have to change the app launcher. So if you want to change the shade of this, you actually have to go over here to main button colour and change it to, say, oh, what could it be? I don't know, this really light grey. And then, boom, you've successfully changed it. But what I want to do now is I don't want that to say application, so I want to customize it a bit. So I'm going to make it say programs, just as an example, and boom, now it says programs. So there we go. Now, what I'm going to show you next is some colour, because, I mean, come on. We need some colour here. I'm just going to change this to minutes, hours, PM, and all of this, because it's getting a little bit ridiculous, if you know what I mean, not knowing what the time is. So there we go, that's a lot better. Split second time. There. Fantastic. So now what I'm going to show you is some colours that we can get, because, I mean, you don't want everything to be grey style, do you? Unless that's your shade of colour that you like, that's okay. But trust me, you're going to want to buy colours, because in future versions of ShiftOS, certain programs won't be compatible with your computer unless you've bought certain colours. There might be certain websites that, in the game websites, whoops, let me just apply changes just to fix up that clock bug. There might be certain websites that have like programs that can only run if you've bought the colour blue, because maybe the program is got some blue in it or something like that, and then your program won't be able to run on ShiftOS because it doesn't meet the requirements. So what we need is, let's get some blue, because I've just been talking about blue. Blue may be the colour of the sky and the ocean, but it's also an important colour that may allow us to create more colours if we mix it with red. Buying this upgrade will enable you to set various UI elements in ShiftOS to blue, and that's the colour blue there, which is RGB 00255, which means red has 0, green has 0, and blue has a full 255. So I'm going to buy this blue now. Now, just before you guys complain about this, you're probably thinking, wait, you haven't bought blue yet. Why is your screen able to display blue before you can buy it in this Shiftorium? That's part of the storyline, okay? There's a lot of little things in ShiftOS that you'll notice, and you'll meet other people, right, within ShiftOS on the websites and chat programs and stuff like that, that are also using ShiftOS. You're not the only one who has had their computer hijacked. There's going to be other people using ShiftOS. Now, these people have ShiftOS just like you, but they've bought upgrades in a slightly different way. Now the thing is, this is a bit of a mind boggle to think about. If ShiftOS is all about this guy who's hijacked your computer and need you to upgrade ShiftOS for them, why would, say, somebody have upgraded and bought the clock, but then no one else has a clock? You get it? Why does everyone have to buy the clock? Once a clock is developed, it's developed. Why would multiple people need to, use code points to get a clock that's already been developed? That's part of the storyline. Why can ShiftOS be unable to display blue, green, and red, just as a simple example. By the way, RGB, those are the RGB, red, green, blue colours. And you have to buy these colours to get more colours. But the point is, why can Shiftorium display blue if you haven't bought blue? That's also part of the storyline. And DevX, the person who made ShiftOS, is not what you think he is. I don't want to give any more away, but let's just say it's partially an act. You're doing things that you're not quite expecting to do, and you're meeting people who you don't know if you can trust them or not trust them. Who do you trust? Do you trust these people who are saying that they've got a different version of ShiftOS to you and they've got these new features that you don't have? Or do you trust DevX, who says that those people are lying, you know, and that they're just pretending they have those features, or they're hackers who have hacked ShiftOS to get those features, or something like that? It's going to be a huge mind boggle, this game. Roles and situations, you're going to go through certain phases where at one point you're thinking, oh, you know, like DevX is this person who's making ShiftOS, I'm upgrading ShiftOS for him, to another point where DevX, I don't want to give it away actually, but you're with these people who are pretending to hack, who are trying to hack ShiftOS, but then you realise that maybe those people are just DevX in disguise, seeing if you know, if he can trust you. Not saying that that's part of the game, but there's a lot of things in this game where there's going to be a lot of role reversals. You're going to be thinking, this is the way the storyline's going, this is what's going to happen, then it all flips around. And these little things in ShiftOS, being able to display blue before you've bought blue, are little signs that everything isn't as it seems. Okay? So now that I've just given away about 1% of the storyline, let's continue with the game. So, I'm going to buy blue now. And the moment I bought blue, blue is a vital part of the RGB, because blue colour system. And now that we have it, we should be able to create purple if we mix it with red. So you now know that if we buy red, we can actually get purple as another colour. So what I'm going to show you now is that, what should we do? Let's set the desktop as blue. You can set the desktop background colour or anything here that you've bought that you can modify as blue. So blue is level 1 because there's only one shade of blue. Level 2 typically will have 2 shades, so 2 shades, level 2 will typically have 3 shades, so blue will have 3 shades, a dark, medium colour, which is this one, and a light shade, and then the next one typically fills up as many boxes as it can, and then the 4th upgrade, level 4, is usually a custom colour, so then you can make your own shades of blue. By the way, if you want to wipe out some shades, you can right click this button to clear all your custom shades, and it'll just put the default shades back there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set the desktop background to blue. And I'll click apply, and boy, that... I don't know what to think here. Yes, it looks good that there's some colour, but the colours just really don't go well today. They don't look too good. So what I'm going to do is we're going to buy some... What do you think, red or green? Let's get some red. So red will allow us to create more colours if we mix it with blue or green, and you know, because we bought blue, that it said if we mix it with red, it'll allow us to get purple. So as soon as we buy red, you can see purple appears. And it says if we mix it with blue, we'll create purple, and if we mix it with green, we'll be able to make yellow and orange. And if we mix it with all 3 RGB colours, we'll be able to start making different shades of various other colours, so that'll be pretty cool too. So now that we've got red, let's set, say, the windows as red. Now, just know that red and blue is a very unprofessional way to go. You should never ever set things as red and blue. I'm just going to increase the border size to 5 here. And also, note that whenever you have, say your last colour was red, that will be the same colour here. So if you want to set 2 things as the same colour, because I just did red and red, that's the way you can do it. So there we go. Set this to red, apply, there we go. So the borders and windows are now all red, and blue and red is very unprofessional. If you're in a professional setting or you're thinking of designing an operating system in real life, never ever set blue and red together. They don't go well together. And that's not me saying that. That's actual proper design theory. If you read textbooks about graphical designs and stuff, you'll see that red and blue are two colours that should not be put together. Well, that's what I've read anyway. Okay, and it's a very childish thing to do. Typically, an 8-year-old would think, oh, blue and red, I'm going to put those together, you know, but when you get to older, you realise actually blue and red are not very professional colours. So let's get some more colours. We'll grab some purple, and this will unlock a lot of colours. Because we've got all R, G, and B, that means, 05 tray, wait, 05 tray, you can't type this command, sorry about that, you need the private version of ShiftOS for that. As soon as you press this now, green, you'll notice that we've unlocked brown, orange, pink, and yellow. Yellow and orange is because we have green and red together, and pink and brown because pink and brown, look at this, for example, hot pink requires all RGB colours. Although yellow, you see, doesn't require blue, and orange doesn't require blue either. So, and brown requires all RGB colours. That's why they're unlocked in that certain way. So now let's just buy these last colours, pink, orange, brown, and yellow. And as you can see, suddenly shades have appeared. So that's that's a lot of things there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the colour picker now and look at all of those shades. Now let's think of what we're going to do here. I want the window border colour because we're going to change it straight away here. Let's go for maybe a green. I'm not sure if this... Oh boy, this looks Christmassy now with all this green and stuff. And I want to change the button. Let's make the roll-up button a yellow. Because I think of roll-up as a yellowy type thing. I don't know. That's just the way I see it. And I think of a close button as a red kind of colour. So let's set that as red. And apply. There we go. That looks a bit better, but it still looks very childish. And unfortunately, in ShiftOS 0.0.5, there's no skinning. So everything you make is pretty much going to look childish. In fact, I'll show you something else that looks childish. Even if you try and make Windows XP, which in my opinion looks pretty childish as it is, but let's say you try to make a look of Windows XP. To make Windows XP, you would want to set the desktop panel to the bottom of the screen. Apply. Now remember when I told you to hide your Windows taskbar? Before you open ShiftOS, this is why you want to open it. When you open the taskbar like this, it looks fine. See, like that, it looks kind of like a start menu. A Windows 95 start menu, if that, but it doesn't even look that good. It looks pretty bad, honestly. But just to say, if you had the taskbar then, what it would do is this actual little start menu kind of thing is not actually allowed to go below the taskbar. So what would happen is there would be a huge gap here, and the start button would actually appear, well, not the start button itself, that would be at the bottom, but this little menu would appear really, really high up, and it would look so silly. So that's why you need to close as fast as you can, hide the Windows taskbar, because otherwise it just doesn't work. So before you open ShiftOS, hide the Windows taskbar. Don't go complaining to me about this menu being up if you haven't closed the Windows taskbar, because if you hide the Windows taskbar, you can see that there's no issues with the display of this little start menu here. Now, honestly, what word is there? Everyone knows what word Windows has in the taskbar in Windows XP. It was the word start. So let's change it to the word start. Whoops, if you can spell it right. Start. Now, the main button colour was actually green. Apply. And the actual bar itself, the desktop panel bar, was blue. And now the background's blue, and that messes it up. See, the more colours you get, the easier this is going to be. Don't know what to set that. Let's just set the background as brown, just because I can't think of anything else right now to set it as. But as you can see, that looks a little bit XP-like, and honestly though, the text colour should be white, because that's how it was in Windows XP. Okay, so start, and I think it was italic. Oh, you can't really set it bold and italic, so I'll just do italic. Is there any bold texts here? Before I do, save. I've noticed the occasional font. If you select a font here, it'll crash. This font list is actually of your system. I haven't generated this font list or typed all this in. It just grabs all the fonts that are on your system, so you may have different fonts to me. Anyway, let's try Huxable. You can actually press up and down to change the fonts, just like that. But be careful, because some of them won't work. I'm just going to put... what do I do? Maybe Huxtable, or however you say that, and I'm going to make the text size 13. Apply. There we go. That looks a bit more XP-like. I want the activate button to actually... It'll have to be green for now. And that'll have to be blue. Now this is starting to look a bit odd now because I don't have more shades of colour. So let's grab some more shades of colour. I want some blue shades, green shades, orange shades, pink shades, purple shades, all these shades here. Brown shades, and purple shades. These get more expensive. If you want a full shade set, that's going to cost more than the shades do, and the custom shades cost even more, so everything just gets more expensive the further time goes on, and in this version everything is completely unbalanced, okay? This upgrade system is actually not really supposed to be taking effect properly until later versions like 0.0.8, and really 0.1 is where I'm trying to get ShiftOS to by the end of this. So let's change this a little bit. We're going to make the colour here light blue. So, yep, that's light blue. The longer you spend customising, the more code points you earn. Because I only customised one feature, I got 1 code point. Although if I sat down waiting a little while, I probably would have earned some more code points. Because it's a calculation, the time you spend customising as well as the amount of customisations you do. So, and it balances it out, so you can't just sit down doing nothing for an hour and then go, oh, I've got 100 code points. It'll actually probably only give you like 5 code points. But if you're customizing for a whole hour, then, oh, wow, you've got 1,000 code points. That's kind of how it works. Now, but I don't expect you to sit here customizing for an hour. Let's look at the extra colors we've got here, because this clock looks a bit silly grey. Now, in Windows XP, the clock background color is a light blue. So let's just apply that as a light blue. There we go. It's actually not that light, but whatever. Okay, so let's change, I don't know, these windows here. I don't want to do too much customization because it could get a little bit boring. But, okay, let's set this to, I want a colour that doesn't look odd. That looks odd, so I don't want that colour. Maybe let's just do dark green for now, just so it, I don't know, it just looks a bit better as dark green. And I want to set, no, I think that's it for now. I don't know why I went 0 code point 0, I think because of how fast I applied it. Actually, yeah, if you do it within 10 seconds, you actually get 0 code points, so you've got to spend more than 10 seconds customizing. So, let's get some more colours here. We've got the full blue set. Look at all those shades of blue. And look at this full brown set, and look at that. There's so many more shades you get when you buy the full set. I mean, look at from level 2 to level 3 is just amazing. So, let's just keep buying these sets here. Oops. Let me get a few more. Now, obviously, you would be not being able to type 05 tray. You would actually have to type in countries and fruits and stuff to get your code points. But because this is just a demonstration video, this is what I'm going to do. Feel free to go on YouTube making your own videos showing how you've customized ShiftOS, because it's very interesting to see how the community customizes their own version of ShiftOS. Now that I've bought all of those, look at this range of colours I've got. Now, unfortunately, by default, there's not enough shades of orange to actually fill this up. These go by the official names, shades of orange. So orange, red, tomato, as you can see these names here. So these are official names. Okay, there are no actual other official shades of orange that I could find for Visual Basic and web colours and stuff, because what these actually are actually web colours, colours you find on the web. So, what we're going to do next is grab these custom shades so I can show you how this whole custom shade system works. And, yep, before we continue, let's come over here. So, you can now see that I can make, and sorry it took a little while to load there, it just has to calculate all these colours, getting ready for you to input your own custom shades. You can see we've got purple, green, no, I can't even read. Grey, purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, brown, red and pink. Now all of these shades have their own set of rules. For example, you can't make red with this whole blue column here. Let's say I try and make red. Watch this. So to make red, for example, let's look at the color here. Red is 255, green is 0, blue is 0. You can't do that here. Watch this. If I set this as 0, obviously that looks black now, and then I try and say, okay, red 255. It looks red, but the second you move the mouse ready to set one of these blue boxes as red, it won't let you, because that breaks the color rule. Black doesn't break the color rule, but red will, yellow will, orange will, brown will, pink will. Pretty much everything you can think of will break the color rule, but this won't. Look at this, 50. That won't break the color rule, and you still got an interesting shade of grey. But that won't break the color rule. Now, to find out what the color rule is, you simply click this box here. Blue rules. Blue must have the highest value, followed by green. Red must then have the lowest value. So what that means is, look at it carefully, blue must have the highest value, followed by green. That means blue here must have the highest value. So let's say I set that to 200. Followed by green. So let's say 150. Followed by red, which has to have the lowest value, let's say 50. Now, as you can see, blue, green, red. Blue is the highest value, green is the next highest value, and red is the lowest value. These rules have told you how to make your own custom shade of blue. You cannot put something like, say, green, say I put that to 250, and then I try and move the mouse, not going to work. It's going to set it to 200, okay? It'll put it to whatever value blue is, because you can't set green above blue. And then you can just simply, there we go, I've got my new colour there that I made customly. And I'll put that here, and it saves that custom shade you made, as well as the last colour up here. So you can apply that, and there we go. I've now got my own custom blue, but seriously, I need to change my desktop background. Let's give it a Windows 95, not that. Oopsie daisy, let's get the good old Windows 95 background. Now, the Windows 95 background is teal. That is the actual literal colour of the Windows 95 background. And we're going to change this window here to, what's an interesting colour? Let's go for indigo. Actually, no, let's make our own custom colour. What do you think? We're going to make it, let's go for purple. We'll make our own custom shade of purple. Now, remember what we do, we have to check the purple rules. So, right-clicking will wipe all your custom shades, so as soon as I do grey here, there we go, grey, white, wiped. So you just right-click to wipe everything. Now, blue. Let's go, purple. Let's go here to purple, and look at the rules. I keep pressing the wrong button. Left-click. Blue must have the highest value, followed by red. Green must then have the lowest value. So let's say blue is 220, red can be 180, and green, let's put it at 100. Actually, let's put it at 20. So, I'll put that there, and there is our custom shade of purple. And there we go, all the windows and their borders are now going to be this shade of purple. There we go. Oh boy, this just, I can't draw a good ShiftOS. You guys need to show me on YouTube. You go, you know what, Philip, you know what, developer of ShiftOS, you suck at customizing. That's why I've put this whole, you make your own kind of thing, so you guys can show me how to customize, because I can't customize ShiftOS myself. Okay, oh, I feel so stupid now, but if you type in help, it actually evolves with new features like roll will, roll a window to its title bar and all of those new things, window terminal, full screen terminal, all of that. And you can see the screen can display all shades of grey. It can also display purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, brown, and that depends on what colours you've bought and nothing else. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try and buy now a custom shade, okay? Basic custom shade. So now that we can create all the shades of the things based on rules, our customization level is very high, but with further research we can support the ability to not have a shade linked to a certain set of rules of colour. So let's buy this. Now, as you'll notice, these look very grey due to the limitations, okay, I can never say that word, due to the limitations of this basic custom shade system. So basically RGB can be any value between 150. So, let me show you. You've got any up here. Let's say you put, and look at this. There are no rules, okay? Absolutely no rules here. Just, whoops. Apart from the fact that all of the values have to be between 100 and 150. It's not like, oh, this has to be above this, or this has to be lower than this, or this. Oh, it's crazy. So, let's say you want this to be, okay, red 100, blue 150, yeah, and that's your custom shade. Now, a lot of these shades, let me just get that. A lot of these shades aren't going to look very nice, unfortunately, because it's only the very basic thing, okay? What you need to do is you need to upgrade this so that you get more features. So general custom shades, and see those shades look a lot better. Now this says that you can have between 100 and 200 now. And as you can see, you've got 4 shades. You can have 4 custom shades. So let's say red is 200 and green is also 200. There we go. There's my next custom shade that I keep missing all the time. There we go. Next custom shade, but that looks awful, so we're not even going to think about setting it like that. And remember that you can really customize the way ShiftOS looks. If you don't want the title bar to be that size, you say, hey, you know what? Screw that. I want it to be 24 high. And that's just the way you've chosen it. And because of that, I'm just going to change this button to be 18, and this roll up button to also be 18. And I'm going to apply that, and there we go. That's just the way I've set it. Forgot about this, borders, and we'll change that to that colour. There we go. This is looking very awful though. And you should also change the title text if you're going to change all this other stuff. So let's just change that to Arial Black, and from top I'll put it to 0. Wait, 1. Yeah, that makes it more in line. Okay, there we go. Let's keep changing things a little bit here. I want to make... what are we going to change? Let's just buy some more custom shades because I can't handle this. Barely any shades. There we go. So, brilliant. You can have between 75 and 225. But let's just buy Limitless custom colors so we can have... Look how expensive that is. 500 code points. 05 tray. Oops, I missed that. 05 tray. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go, Limitless. This is epic. ShiftOS now supports the ability to display I can't even say this, 16,777,216 shades of colour. Yes, many of them may look the same now, but you can have them all. Okay. So we can have the full set of RGB colours, whatever we like, you know? Look at this. I can't even speak. I'm so happy that I've got the full set. Okay, so let's say you want red to be 255, blue to be 255, and green to be 100. You can do that. Let's say you want red to be 20, blue to be 80, and green to be 200. You can have that. Let's say you want red to be 85, or 86, because I couldn't even type it properly, and this to be 20. You can have that very dark shade. Remember, light shades have higher numbers, dark shades have lower numbers. Let's say you wanted red to be 255, blue to be 255, and this to be 140. You can have that. Let's say you want this to be 100. You can have that. Let's say you want this to be 100. Oh, well, 10. You can have that. You can have pretty much whatever shade that you want. And there we go, boom, you've got it, you know? And ShiftOS can be highly customizationable, if I can speak properly. Need to customize the way I speak. If you just keep applying all these changes. And you know what? That doesn't look too bad. That's how I'm going to set my ShiftOS to be for now. And there's going to be so many new features, so many cool things you can do throughout ShiftOS. Is a Pong game in the next version of ShiftOS, although... Oh, and it's also going to have a notepad application. There's going to be icons here, so all these programs that you see here will have icons. So there will be icons, but you're going to have to buy the icons, sorry, and you're going to have to buy the Pong program using code points, just so you know. Not like, I'm not going to say, oh, you've got to buy the full version of ShiftOS if you want that feature. No. ShiftOS is going to try to always be free, but if it tries to always be free, I can almost guarantee you that it's going to die. Okay? ShiftOS is something that I can only work on when I get some time off work. And when do I get time off work? 3 times a year for 1 week. And that's why I got ShiftOS 0.0.5 released this week, because this was the week I had off. I'm not going to be so lucky next time. ShiftOS 0.0.6, you're probably not going to see it till 4 months. I am a childcare worker at a childcare centre, and I can't keep releasing ShiftOS at this rate, because this is just a ridiculous slow rate. It's never going to be a full game. I'm highly going to rely on donations. If you look in the, what do you call it, release, I can't even think of what you call it. If you look in the YouTube description of this video, you'll see a link to the ShiftOS website. Now, the first thing you're going to notice about that website is it's a free website. I haven't paid to have hosting or anything, and that's why it's got the silly name of like 12patterns.wix.com/ShiftOS. The reason it's got that name is because, unfortunately, I can't be buying domain names and stuff, because I'm developing this game for free. So if I start buying domain stuff, that means I'm paying money to develop this game. It should be the other way around. I should be paid to develop a game. And if I was part of a game company, yes, I would be being paid to develop this game. And this game, as a part of a game company, this game would be rapidly developed. Okay, right now you can see how slow ShiftOS 0.0 whatever you want is being developed. Okay, this is a game that should not take this long to develop. It's going to have so many more great features, but you know, it's really hard for me to develop a game without any donations. So I really need donations, yeah, donation dogs, yeah. So it would be great if you could go onto the website, donate through PayPal. If the website's up, it might not be up yet, looking at this video, but if you can donate through PayPal or donate through, I've got Bitcoin, I think, but I'm a bit iffy about Bitcoin, so we might just keep it to PayPal for now. So there we go. I'll talk about some new features that are going to be in future versions while we're here. If I can get those future versions out, I may, just like this week off it's been a lot of work for me to develop this version. So basically, in future versions 0.0.6, I want icons here. I want to make a notepad application. Now, the reason you're probably wondering what's a notepad application for, the main reason is because I want to test out saving files and loading files kind of thing. I can do that, but I want to make an actual file browser for ShiftOS, because I could make it use the default Windows file browser, but you don't want a sudden default Windows browser in this. That's why ShiftOS specifically has stuff like these, you know, these windows here, because I want my own custom stuff, ShiftOS stuff. You don't want suddenly a Windows window popping up. So you're going to be able to save and load files to like a documents folder in your ShiftOS system, a ShiftOS documents folder, not one on your real computer, but it will actually correspond with files on your real computer. You'll be able to actually, even in 0.0.7, now this is why it's setting it up in this special way, because there's going to be an ArtPad program, and in this ArtPad program you're going to buy more tools, and all these colours are going to correspond to the colours you have in ArtPad. If you've only got grey, you can only paint in grey with ArtPad, and initially you're only going to be able to make very, very small images, and then slowly you can upgrade it to support bigger images. So let's say you could only make an image 2 pixels big. You could actually use that feature to skin ShiftOS. So let's say, okay, 2 pixels big, calculate what's that, 2 pixels. 1 pixel could be red, the other pixel could be orange, right? And if you stretch that across the title bar, and yes, it'll automatically stretch itself, 1 pixel here, that means this side will be red and this side will be orange, and it'll actually stretch it as a fade effect. So that will be an interesting way to skin it. So if you wanted to make a, you know, that Windows 2000 look where it has that, you know, that faded color where it's like blue, dark blue to light blue, and it fades across the top of the taskbar, you'll actually be able to do that very easily in the terminal. So basically that's going to be the new thing in 0.0.7. So basically a big feature in 0.0.6 is going to be Pong. 0.0.7 is going to be the actual art pattern skinning ability, although that skinning ability might be pushed back to 0.0.8, but I would love it to be in 0.0.7. Anyway, if you want ShiftOS to continue development, show me that you like ShiftOS, give me a donation on PayPal, and if I get enough donations, I'll be able to do one of the following things. I could actually pay for hosting, so I could get ShiftOS.com, and I could make it now. This is the bad thing about this free website. Wix.com has like a 500 megabyte bandwidth, so the website's going to go down every month as soon as maybe, I think, 500, as soon as like 500 people look at the website approximately, that's it. Website's offline for the month. Pretty awful, isn't it? So that's the issue with this free hosting. If I want full hosting where it just stays up all the, well, if I can increase it to 2 gigabytes per month. If I want full hosting where I can use that and not have all these little silly Wix ads and stuff up on there, it'll actually be full ShiftOS.com, but that's going to cost me $99 a year. Okay, I'm not going to spend $99 a year just to, you know, promote this game, a free game. If it was a paid game, sure, maybe if I was saying, okay, yeah, ShiftOS, it's $9.99 on Steam, this is the official website, you can check out version history here, sure, but anyway, I think I should end this video here and tell me what you think of ShiftOS and these new cool features that it's going to have in the future. And if you really want ShiftOS to continue development and you want to support it and make it, you know, eventually become a real operating system one day, well, not a real operating system, but a real game with heaps of features, web browsers and cool, just endless stuff, then please donate for ShiftOS to evolve. Anyway, I'll see you next time in another dev update video. Goodbye. Oh, just before I end this video, there is a ShiftOS trailer competition. Look in the description of this video, and if you have good video editing skills, see if you can make a trailer for ShiftOS 0.0.5. Anyway, adios amigos.